How do we develop an excellent executive summary for our reports? Well, here's from our manual where we discuss an executive summary, otherwise known as an abstract, but that word would be reserved for academic work, whereas executive summary is more appropriate for business report writing. It uses one or more well-developed paragraphs which are unified, coherent, concise, and able to stand alone. Introductory body conclusion structure follows the chronology of the report and provides logical connection between material included. Also, no new information, obviously just summarizes the report and is intelligible to a wide audience. So how long should it be? Well, this is very difficult. How long is a piece of string? But a few paragraphs of at least 100 words, and I would say a maximum, in terms of my experience, having assessed thousands of people, up to 500 words. Anything longer than that, you really need to consider reducing it. But once again, if the report is a massive report, an executive summary would have to be a significant chunk. The next thing I need to point out is that you should really avoid bullets, although they would be the exception, not the rule. Just to bullet your executive summary is just like resorting to a bullet technique that loses all character, persuasive argument, and that kind of thing. Rather, try to develop a convincing series of paragraphs, maybe just even one paragraph that actually does the job. So here's the thing. You need to go through the following steps. You reread your report with the purpose of abstracting in mind, look specifically for main parts, purpose, method, scope, results, conclusions, recommendations. It's not necessary to include your methodology. It's not necessary to include definition of terms. And as has already been said, no new information. What you then need to do is to encapsulate that. And if you've done really good work in your introduction, which I will show you presently, if you've done really good work in your introduction, you'll be able to not copy and paste, but virtually use those thoughts in your executive summary. Your biggest challenge is going to be not how much you put in, but how little you put in. Not how much you leave out or little you leave out, but how much you leave out. Here's the point, explained in a particular example. I've got 3 examples of executive summaries here from previous courses I've run, and I'm going to be working with the first one. So the context is it's a colliery that was being remined for further extraction of coal by shaving the existing coal pillars in the coal beds and ore bodies. This is obviously subterranean, so they have to actually shave coal off those columns without jeopardizing the integrity of the column. The column must clearly still hold up the roof. This report wishes to work out a model for extraction of pillars. So I'm going to put a color code on this particular executive summary, and we'll discuss where those sentences come from. Here it is. To date, there is no model in existence designed to extract coal pillars in a safer way. Well, that would clearly come from the history or background part of the introduction, because it's to date. It's explaining the context. In this report, we determine and investigate the relevant technical challenges relating to extracting coal pillars. The objective of the project is to develop a model for optimal extraction of coal pillars of height to width ratio of 2. Clearly, those mauve or purple sentences come from the purpose statement. And in this case, it's slightly unique in that this person has broken those down into two. Usually it's just one. But determine, investigate, those are conceptual verbs as we learnt on day 1 of the course. The objective of the project, clearly the purpose. So, sentence from history, sentence from purpose. Here comes the sentence from the scope. The case study will be the new Clydesdale colliery, those of you who know South Africa, and the Mpumalanga province, now, of course, famous for the electricity debacle. the case study wouldn't be the new Clydesdale colliery. That's exactly where it is. And if there's a time or chronological scope, that needs to be included as well. There wasn't in this particular case. Perhaps there should have been. One of the outcomes of this research project, so we've dealt with everything we got from the introduction. We might have included, as I said, a chronological scope, but we might also have included a little bit of the needs as well. Okay, but the needs are self-evident in this case. But these white sentences come from another part of the report, that is the conclusions and recommendations. So one of the outcomes of this research project is that this model can be implemented in other coal mines. An additional impact of this research is that the more established or older mines' lifespan will be lengthened. So there you have it, a very succinct executive summary. You have to be very selective about what you choose. But the person who walks away from this executive summary, which by the way is known as an informational executive summary because it includes conclusions and recommendations. The person who walks away from this has the gist of the report in his or her mind. A descriptive executive summary, which is the other kind of executive summary, is one that does not include the conclusions and or recommendations, and the person has to continue reading the report to get those. So there you have it in a nutshell, an excellent example of an executive summary. There are in our manual another two examples. This one is the QuickBird satellite, and this one has to do with air receivers that have been used for some time and corrosion problems.